What is up, my friends? This is the Protect Your Neck podcast, and I'm your host, Dan Tom. Analyst is work you can find over at MMA Junkie as well as linemovement.com. But on this here program, the Protect Your Neck podcast, we break down high-level MMA. That's what we're going to do here today, tonight. Whenever you're listening to this, hopefully it's before the fight. Recording this just as weigh-ins are concluding. I think still a couple more fighters left to weigh in for UFC, hashtag UFC Vegas 7, UFC on ESPN 15, UFC Munoz versus Edgar. Of course, Bellator 244 goes down tonight. I have main events as for usual, both up at MMAJunkie.com. Thank you guys for checking out those, especially the Nemkov Bader breakdown. Really went balls deep into that one since Nemkov is a guy I've been calling a dark horse for the division for over 2 years now, but didn't end up picking him. So I'll briefly give some thoughts on that. Just run through picks because very quickly and even quicker than the UFC fight I'm gonna jump to, and that's kind of what happens when I wait till weigh-in day like this. It was really close to getting it done last night, but both the voices you can hear was even worse, and the facilities of being tired. I don't know if I'm going to blame that on the head trauma and the low activity bar that I just kind of deal with, or the fact that your boy just not taking any time off for I don't know how many years now, and doesn't look like I'm going to be taking any time off this year with this gosh darn schedule. Not complaining, happy to be working, but the body, you got to find a balance, man. Got to find a balance. Was listening to some sweet Rodney Mullen, which I'll probably repost here on the old Twitter at DanTomMMA. And the damn dude, I always loved his skateboarding, but man, he's an inspirational speaker, and there's a lot of applicable stuff to life, as well as MMA, which is what we talk about, and the affects of a rigorous schedule and what that does to the creativity. So, saying no more, let's push forward. I already got the recap done, which is nice. That'll save us some time. Thank you guys for joining me for that live recap. UFC 252 on the YouTube channel. Please subscribe if you haven't. I think I've only got some measly 200 subscribers. Dan, it's because you wait till the last day to do your breakdowns. Well, all right, just relax. Let me get through my plug. Daniel Tom MMA on YouTube if you want to check out any of these videos. This will go up, but this probably won't go up till the morning of the fights. As far as, because it takes so much time to process, yada. But Dana White Contenders 29 results happen. I'll also save you a recap there, because I recap them every week over at MMA Junkie, grading the winners, where I give my unfettered thoughts. So thank you guys very much for checking that out. All right, no further ado, under 4 minutes, as we are on to Bellator. So Ryan Bader opened, I think, around a minus 160 or so. And then money came in on Nemkov, and it looked like the line was going to flip. Nemkov got as low as a plus 105, but now the line is back to Bader at minus 145, balancing out Nemkov as the underdog, plus 125. Don't hate any shots on Nemkov. Like I said at the top, he's a guy I've been calling as a prospect, for a minute. So I've had my eye on him. If he's able to spark Bader with a counter, right, or dismantle him with some leg kicks, at least set the tone in the first round after shutting down some shots, none of us should be really that surprised. But Nemkov still has issues with pacing. He's done better with his pacing, but I feel like with guys that make him grapple is problematic, and we saw that with an inconsistent grappler, Phil Davis. Obviously, not calling Phil or trying to demean him there. He's my top 5 mat wrestlers, but obviously what I'm referring to is the fact that he doesn't use it as consistently as he should, because he's really freaking good down there. Wow, Dan, phrasing. But Jesus Christ, sorry folks. It's Dan, don't save your excuse. Drink your coffee, get the breakdown done. He could have done that more, but by the end, even though I had Vadim Nemkov winning, no issue there. But yeah, that third round went to Davis, and Davis was on top. And basically, it's what seems to be the thing is that Vadim seems to have a really good first layer defense, and he can scramble well too. It's not that he can't scramble well, and scrambling should account for a second layer, obviously. But as far as layered takedown defense in the forms of answering layered takedown offense, which is what Ryan Bader brings to the table. I always talk about and highlight his power double, which is pretty emphatic, but the guy finishes from a lot of areas. He can chain inside, singles. He's actually really good. He'll hit some hip tosses and like some stuff like, that you figure the more Sambo or Judo black belt based Nemkov would be hitting. Nemkov can hit those positions too, but he's just more like, he's not doing like Uchimata's. He's usually like hoisting off hips, and then he's looking for like outside or inside trips. Nemkov actually likes more, I guess, for lack of better phrasing, traditional wrestling shots, Western wrestling shots. But he actually trains with a freestyle wrestler. Look this guy up on Instagram. It's like MM7, and I had to do a lot of translation. Had to hit up my dude Ed Gallo. Thanks, Ed, from the fight site. But yeah, he trains with this really good guy who won the Junior World Cup in 2018, Magomedov. How do we do a Magomed name? How about Magomedov? No, like 3 of those already exist. Genghis Khan was pretty cool. I'm sure his DNA is over there in the, those Caucasus. Why don't we go Magomedov? Sold. The guy happens to be a good wrestler. But I'm not going to pretend to be the wrestling expert. But yes, basically, the difference between folk style, just very layman's terms, and freestyle as it pertains to MMA is that one rewards more on control, whereas other is more as far as scoring points, takedowns, pins, which is freestyle, and control being more folk style, which is why a lot of and I believe Ryan Wagner touched on this much better than I could, probably on many things, but when I had him on this here program. And, folk style, it's not a surprise. They end up controlling well in their mat wrestling when they want to apply themselves and learn the subsequent grappling and jiu-jitsu that goes with MMA. Yeah, it does pretty damn well. And Bader does that. In fact, during this pandemic, Bader's been staying in shape. Looks like he's earned his brown belt under 4th degree black belt, Yair Lorenko. So, yeah, man, kind of hard not to favor Bader if he doesn't get iced. Also, Nemkov, even though he stays busy with his left hand and he throws much straighter punches, again, like he goes against like the Sambo stereotypes. He's not out there like, doing hip tosses and casting punches and shit. Like, keeps a good jab and this and that, but whether it's his leg kicks, head kicks, or counters with the punches, it's all from the right power side. And I say that because not so much from the power side, but whether it's the power side of a southpaw or orthodox fighter, if you go back and look at the times that Bader was finished, and really just a lot of the times that he was rocked, it was by left hands. Bader seems to have a good beat, and I talk about this. Some fighters, it's more noticeable. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to know why. And I can just speculate as to, you're in a street fight. What are you worried about most? Guy is going to throw the right hand. So if we take that really basic, dumb logic and we kind of expound upon it into an MMA fight, and we're playing the percentages, yeah, most people at least should be aware of the right hand. You want to hope that the takedown is followed by that, and that's a different story, of course. But some guys, back to the original point, if you want to even call it that, just have a better beat on one hand than the other. Sometimes, some guys have a good beat on the setup hand, but if you catch them and go rogue with an uppercut, and you can catch them dipping into that shit. That's probably more on advanced levels, but from the basic level, yeah, man, shouldn't be too surprised when a guy like Bader has a good beat on a right hand. Does that mean that he can't get caught by Nemkov? Of course not. He's not elder. He's 37, which is an elder for light heavyweight, much less heavyweight. I know this is a light heavyweight fight. I'm just saying for Bader's career. But Nemkov has a clear speed advantage. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised from that aspect, but there was just a lot of reasons that had me clicking with Bader. I think he gets it done actually by a stoppage 4th round, just because Nemkov go gas and have to give something, even though he's a tough bastard. Good luck if you played Nemkov. But if that Bader line goes down, I may have to hit. I may hit regardless. Taking Julia Budd over Jesse Maley. Taking Valentin Moldavsky over Roy Nelson. Sorry, Big Roy. Taking Salted Dog, John Salter, over Andrew Capel. Although, interesting sample size for Capel when you really dig into there. It's the guy that recently, I guess you could say, retired King Mo. Shouts to Mo. I love Mo, by the way. Goito Perez minus 145, Josh Hill plus 105. I actually don't disagree with that line, and I really like that matchup. Josh Hill, most people might recognize him from challenging for Marlon Moraes' bantamweight WSOF title. Don't necessarily hate the line between Adam Piccolotti and City Outlaw, though I want to say Outlaw is a live dog. Although my pick would reluctantly be Piccolotti, especially now seeing the line inflate. Maybe there's some value on Outlaw there, huh? Will Smith's on the card. This guy, damn it. See, this is my, remind me to tweet this later. Will Smith tweet. This is my Will Smith. I've said this before, folks. Like, this is my Bellator theory. Like, not only did they do the thing like, oh, they're gonna sign UFC washouts, or like they'll be like, oh, they're gonna Hops and Gracie, like they're gonna give every Gracie a fucking fight. You know, even the Gracie that doesn't do jiu-jitsu. Like, all those things are fair criticisms. And I got love for Bellator. You guys know I do. And all those things are fair criticisms. But even beyond that, my criticism / not even criticism, it's just a funny note, really, is what it is like, this is perfect. Like, you can have a name that sounds like someone famous, whether it's a fighter or not, like Will Smith. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could have, like, your name could be Rejay Penn, and they're going to give you a name. You could be 0-7, but your name sounds like BJ Penn, so you're going to get a fight. Like, I doubt he listens to this podcast, but he does follow me on Instagram. So Rich Chu will probably have to see the tweet, and I wonder if he'll answer that question. Why is there name bias? Is there celebrity name bias going on in Bellator bookings? Like, it doesn't matter what record you have. Maybe you have no record at all, but if your name sounds like, you know, if you're Bonflod fan, like, they're, oh, we're going to give you a fight, you know, or something. That was a really poor example, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Yeah, that's about it. Nothing much. Oh, Hamasoft got buried on there, but I don't know. I don't know if it's contract time because I don't know how close we are to the end of the year, but yeah, that's the Bellator card. All right. Got to timestamp that 13 minutes. Let's jump over to UFC on ESPN 15. Headlined by Pedro Munoz minus 265. Excuse me. Frankie Four Fingers. Frankie Edgar is your underdog plus 225. Making the bantamweight drop at 38. Going to be 39 in under 2 months, which I don't like. Especially at bantamweight, we see these guys aged out. Losing to guys they shouldn't be losing to. And even if Frankie Edgar's in his prime, I don't think Pedro Munoz fits that bill. I still think he fits the bill of a bad matchup stylistically, from a stylistic standpoint. But yes, you add in the speed, the fact that with age, Edgar in the last 5 years has been able to get to and keep control positions lesser and lesser, unless he's fighting Yair Rodriguez, and he's been getting hurt more and more, which has never been abnormal for an Edgar fight, but we always wondered when the bottom was going to drop out. Well, perhaps his cardio hasn't dropped out, perhaps it won't drop out with the weight cut even. But I don't know if we're going to get to see the fight go that far, and I don't know if the cardio is going to matter because you can still be hurt to the body, especially when you're actually cutting weight. Now that Frankie Edgar is actually cutting the weight for the first time in his career, but he's doing it at an advanced age when durability is already a question mark. You know what I always say, fighters that go to the body can be the worst when you're cutting that weight. Bad weight cuts, big weight cuts, first-time weight cuts, body punchers is a flag for me. And Munoz doesn't exactly body punch, but he's got those brutal body teeps. You know, that he's able to hurt guys to the body that were much more longer or elusive, and even fights that he lost to, like against Aljamain Sterling. Munoz has that. He also has decent wrestling. He doesn't sell out for that guillotine. He actually knows when to sell out for it, when to sweep with it, and when to defend takedowns, as I believe his takedown defense rating is like in the 80 percentile. It's really, really high. And he's got really underrated wrestling and scrambling takedowns himself to boot. Does a lot of his work off the front headlock takedown-wise, not just his guillotine, like back takes and takedowns. He actually works really well. So that's kind of the double-edged sword there, is not just the guillotine, but why the level-changing threat. which is kind of the saving, not just an arguable glue, but now a saving grace to Edgar's game when you look at the durability, his ability to change the level, or at the very least have that threat. And if Munoz, with his built-in defense for it, isn't worried about it and knows that he offers much more to worry about, then that's bad news. Looking even further into it, when I went to watch the Johns, I'm glad I went to, we all remember it as a beating. Why go back and watch it? Well, this is why Dan Tom goes back and still does a stupid thing where he watches all their fights at least for the main events now, not for all the fights. But, Munoz gives off a tell that DC smartly picks up on. And I know DC hates when people say this, but this is why some people say he's a better commentator than a fighter. I'm not making that statement or dying on that hill. But I understand that sentiment when you see, him pick up on stuff so well. And you see John shoot with his head to the left or to the right, which is to Munoz's left side. And Munoz catches a guillotine, and he actually gets under the neck, but he gives it up. And he gives it up to change grip. But in that process of changing grip, Johns, who's a savvy grappler, is able to get out. And DC smartly cites that the reason why Johns was able to get out is because Munoz went to change his grip. He didn't like the side that he caught. He actually caught the guillotine. But even with the caught guillotine, he's like, no, I'm going to take that risk because he really is dominant to his side. We all kind of are if you really pay attention to jiu-jitsu, whether it's the way we attack our legs, but especially, the sides we go for a Kimura on, or Kimura, as Big John likes to say. But, we all kind of have those sides, and especially when it comes to arms, right? That's where the dominant sides really start to shine through with writing and the proverbial systems we're put through, right? So Munoz, very right-hand dominant and a right-hand fighter, so that should be no surprise. So I went and looked at where Edgar was shooting, and unfortunately I went to look at early Edgar, mid-career Edgar, recent career Edgar, as well as Edgar specifically against, which surprisingly very little guys with good headlock threats. But I went to watch the Ortega fight, the Charles Oliveira fight, and Edgar always finishes with his head to the right side, and I didn't think that was the case because I always have those where he does the level changing jab to a hand post to the chest and he goes to pick an ankle or knee and drive through, and that's on the opponent's weak side. He will kind of go for those, but he's relegated those to just kind of feint looks, as you see, I believe in the second Cub Swanson fight. And more so when he does get a good snatch off of those head outside, or weak side entrance, singles, snatch singles, ankle pick, any kind of these variations, he's always chaining and finishing and you look at the cauliflower tells the story, he's got it on both ears, but more so on his right ear because he's always putting his head to his opponent's right side to finish his takedowns. And that's where a lot of guys get cauliflower ear, folks. It's oftentimes from steering. And Edgar likes to steer from that side. That's problematic. So he's either going to have to change something that's super built in, because Edgar and his camp, Mark Henry, I got to imagine they're smart enough to pick up on that, or they just risk shelving one of their strongest parts of their game. Again, the arguable glue. I don't like that. And if that means that Pedro Munoz doesn't just get to unload in body kicks, now he gets to unload with leg kicks. That could be problematic when guys offer that second layer with their leg kicks. Go see Jose Aldo fights with Edgar. So I'm going to take Munoz. My betting article came out. It took him inside the distance. I didn't get him at plus money. Grats if you did. I got him at minus 125, but I put in the article that I presume that I predicted that the was going to inflate. The article dropped yesterday, and so sure enough, today it's up to minus 155 for inside the distance. Now you're just playing a lot of chalk, which is definitely not sexy. Not that what I played was sexy by any means, which is why I attached another prop I'll get to in a second. But the prop angles were pretty thorough. He's thorough. Sorry, Big Lebowski quote there. But I predicted that, so I also offer the under 3.5 now. The good selling point about the under is it offers you coverage if Edgar gets the finish, but the problem is even if Edgar wins, like it's going to be by decision, right? Or by super late. Like I don't think Edgar wins that under. So you're not necessarily getting your coverage there, but I included it because of the line value. That line's still held at the minus 125, which is, I feel, a much more negotiable and defensible entry point if you're going to be playing some chalk prop here. But it's just a bad matchup. With two products that we can actually do some math on, unlike the rest of this card, which is super low level, no offense. So, like I said in my betting article, I targeted the more proven products. Excuse me, a little pep there. The more proven products. And for the plus money prop, again, as I detailed with the where Frankie Edgar puts his head, I think that even regardless whether he shelves it or has a game plan, if he gets tagged, which I think he will, he'll go on autopilot, and I think he's set up to fall hard for his first submission loss. You'd like to see a bigger number for plus 500 for a guy with such a long career to get submitted for the first time, who's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt himself, Edgar. But plus 500 is enough for me. I took a quarter unit shot. Next fight, Alonzo Minifield, minus 125 versus over in St. Preux, plus 105. Tennessee. I always think of that one. Open St. Preux. I put in my notes OSP dance with the mask. Oh, I love, because OSP is like, him and Henan Barao have the, everyone picking on poor Valerie Lareta, as I say, poor Valerie Lareta. Everyone picking on that girl for her dance, but like the ugliest dances in MMA are owned by, like if you're going to make fun of Valerie Lareta, you better be making fun of OSP and Henan Barao. With Henan Barao's little disco dance and, remember when he used to random note, don't ask me why I'm bringing this up or focused or remember, notice this. Remember, I wonder if it's part of the reason why they went to the Reebok sponsorship in 2015. Because like, remember in like 2013, 2014, like every time Henan Barao hit the scales, like not only did he look dead because he was just making those ill-advised weight cuts, but like he always had the same pair of, I don't know if it was like his lucky draws, but like he had those same pair of dirty boxers. And it was just, they were just not nice. They were not flattering. They were very worn, so they left nothing to the imagination. I got to imagine that had to be a part of the percentage pie of why UFC switched to. We can't have fighters like wearing their dirty drawers up. This is embarrassing. This guy looks like he's gonna die. Jesus, Dan, how'd I get up on that? But yeah, but even with the bad weight cuts, when he would win, he would do his disco dance thing. And, St. Preux, who, shout outs to MMA Junkie John and the MMA Roadshow, was saying he did some of his media from inside of his room. So maybe there was a COVID scare. And so I was nervous, since I have a bet on him here, showing my hand, I guess, even though my article dropped yesterday. But, I was like, oh, crap, he's going to show up. And sure enough, OSP shows up, mask and all. And even with the mask, you can't see him do the tongue portion of his, like, I think it's from his sorority thing that he has, like, branded on his arms, which is pretty crazy. But he does, like, the snake thing with his hands. Since it's audio podcast, I'll describe the visual that I get from it, which is, you guys remember Dodgeball when they, like, barge into the restaurant or they enter the Ben Stiller's team, the Cobras or whatever, and they do like their little dance. Like, it's kind of like that, but it's more slower and uglier and awkward with his tongue out, OSP, and it's just great. He always does the OSP dance. So if things go well, I will do, as much as I make fun of it, I will do the OSP dance if he scores, because OSP opened as, I think, a minus 160 favorite, and I had a line to minus 150. So it wasn't too far off from where I had it lined, and I don't blame people for taking shots on Minifield for the subsequent plus 125 flip number that he opened at. OSP is not a guy to be trusted at chalk. Excuse me. But you're going to give me dog money for, not to use poor man's analysis, but for a guy that lacks process, which is why he's always dangerous to bet at chalk, but he is a potent finisher and an athlete to make up for it. And again, like Ryan Bader, he's only 37. That's not elder for this, for even light heavyweight, much less an athlete like OSP. And but not to use poor man's analysis like I preluded to earlier, but yeah, he can finish the fight in more ways. He can get the check hook random knockout, even though I don't count on that against Minifield. He can, Minifield will throw his right, and that check left is the money shot, right? Phrasing, Dan. But he could get a takedown, do a shoulder choke on Alonzo Minifield's huge shoulders and traps, and like all that stuff's going to make for a much faster head and arm choke at heavyweight, folks. I've talked about this before. And then on a decision, he's not a guy that is a decision machine, but yeah, he's been to and can actually go decision and win them. As opposed to Minifield, who has a small and limited sample size outside the first round that doesn't look great. So yeah, it was a play on OSP for me, and that Ben Rothwell fight also wasn't as bad as I remembered. Again, this is heavyweight and Ben Rothwell standards, but Ben Rothwell put a higher pace than Alonzo Minifield will be putting on him, and Open St. Preux did better than I remembered in the sense that he was able to hold up to the pace and hurt and drop Ben multiple times. Even if you can say that some of it was off balancing. Still. So yeah, and he didn't blow up past the 240 mark. Remember what I said? If the light heavyweight coming up to heavyweight, if they go past 240, it's dangerous. When they're right on that 240 mark, boy, it's hard to tell. And he didn't look blown up, and he looks pretty good on the scale for OSP. So yeah, that was a play. I got him at plus 115. It got that high. Maybe it got higher. But you can still get him at plus 105 as of this time. Mike Rodriguez minus 230. Marcin Prakniow, who plus 190. Who Prakniow may be possibly on Team Spectrum, folks. Again, I got love for, believe me, got more love than you know for the Team Spectrum and the karate guys like the Prakniow. I'm not trying to hate, but I'm gonna pull up his bio here because I think this will add. This is pretty funny. But basically, it's hard to tell. Has he made improvements? It's been 2 years since we saw him, but he's coming off 2 knockout losses, and it wasn't against the higher level guys that he fought. Although that theme runs true because if you go back deeper in his career, I'm pretty sure he's got a TKO loss to Alexander Rakic, who is orthodox but will switch to southpaw. Point is, last 2 losses were against southpaws, and he's getting another southpaw, Mike Rodriguez, who can be knocked out himself but is a fully fledged southpaw. May have the ground advantage, albeit not wrestling or power, but for submissions. If he's been continuing to work that part of his game with Lozon MMA, who's in his corner and all up in the social feeds consistently. So Rodriguez, who is a gamer both literally and figuratively, I'm going to take him here. I just don't like that line. I do not like that line. Against an athlete, we don't know what the fuck Prakniow is going to do, man. I mean, he looks like a programmed, he acts like a programmed orc who just, runs into the wall over and over again, or like the, what do you call the, what was that? Speaking of Will Smith from Bellator, I Am Legend, like those monsters that just keep running into the glass thing. Like that's Prakniow in the Sam Alvey fight. And this guy's special. Let me see. Okay. When and why did you start training fighting, Marcin Prakniow? I started with karate when I was just 12 years old. Fighting was in my blood. I kept asking parents to send me to karate class. It took me 3 years for them to approve it. Once I started, I wanted to be the best. I love challenges. I became a multiple-time Polish champion in full Kyokushin Kai karate and placed second. At European, after 450 karate fights, I thought it was time for another challenge. 5.5 years ago, I started with MMA. I really love it. as it is very versatile. Now, I not only need to practice my striking, but also incorporate wrestling and ground fighting. It really is ultimate martial art. Okay, creepy accent aside, I read that word for word with pauses for the periods and all the punctuation. I did not change any of that. Team Spectrum. All right, I'm taking... Jesus, damn. That just killed my voice for the rest of the show. I'm telling you, folks, I'm not kidding when I'm crawling past the finish line every week to try to get you this. I got to get what pays the bills first, and unfortunately, this podcast doesn't because it's free, and I'm a bad businessman. But thank you guys. I've been seeing more Apple Podcasts and review ratings, even though I complain about my measly YouTube subscriber and follower count. It has been going up, so thank you guys. I really appreciate it. There are people listening. I am going to keep this free. Don't worry. I just got to get better at getting it out. So if you want to help me, I will try to share your tweets at the PYM Podcast, at DanTomMMA, MixedMartialAnalyst.com, as I brutally insert plugs in the middle of the show here, that supports the show. You guys can go there for click-throughs for Onnit and Amazon. No cost to you, since a small percentage back to us. There's a PayPal link in there, too, if you want to just give a straight-up donation with a message. You guys know that's always appreciated. None of it is necessary, though. The show remains the same and weird as it always is. Next fight, Maria Agapova. It was taking Mike Rodriguez there, by the way. Buyer beware. Maria Agapova at a reasonable minus 1375, even though she recently lost to Tracy Cortez on Contender Series. No diss on Tracy Cortez, just saying. Versus Shayna Dobson, plus 900. Like Shayna, but I she's been coming in better shape, making clear efforts, man. But it's a bad matchup, man. Unless you got wrestling, Agapova is gonna be hard to control. And if she's improving her ground game, like her little Cole Miller style back snatch. Wow, relevant reference, Dan. Cole Miller, Efrain Escudero. Yeah, I'll take Agapova to roll. Not much to say, not much to play at those prices. Daniel Rodriguez, minus 190. Had trouble finding that Gabe Green fight. Didn't look too hard, though. I'm sure I could. I refuse to use the ESPN Plus subscription because I hate their search engine. I know. You go to their record and that's the faster 7-click way because everything's 7 fucking clicks. Remember back in the day when UFC.com, you just went to it and it showed the fucking matchups right on the home screen with the time, with the broadcast, like everything was answered within one fucking graphic, and now you literally have to take 5 fucking clicks. We're goddamn ridiculous. You don't even get the same profile. Anyways, I don't know what these fuck sites are doing. Dan, this is not why we tuned in. We didn't tune in for the Dan Tom is an old man who can't use the internet podcast. This is the Taking Egg podcast. Daniel Rodriguez, D-Rod, which sounds like a name for his dick if we're being honest, minus 190. I wonder if he's an MMA analysis favorite for that reason. Takashi Sato, plus 165. I love my Southpaw Sato. I love my Japanese fighters. But I'll go with a favorite here. I would like to play him, but I can't tell you that's going to happen. These guys have both come off of Southpaw victories, I believe. Means for, I don't know about, well, not coming off, but have beaten notable Southpaws, because he beat Means. D-Rod, I cannot call him D-Rod now that I've made that comment. Rodriguez, whereas Sato has beaten, I don't know, Jason Witt if he was a southpaw, but Ben Saunders. But yeah, Ben Saunders. Temper, but I will take Rodriguez. I'm excited to see this fight. It's one of the few fights that get me excited. Mizuki Inoue, I will back Japan here, albeit not confidently, minus 125 versus Amanda Lemos, plus 105. Dropping 2 weight classes is the big flag for me for Lemos, and female fight, tough to call, unless Lemos can really, secure some dominant positions, which can be harder than it seems on a scrappy Inoue. I'll go with Inoue's volume and scrappiness, but it's not a researched pick or confident pick for that reason, folks. So temper. I'll take Inoue. Good luck if you're taking the dog shot. But yeah, I'll take Inoue. This fight, I was waiting to do. I actually went and researched. I wanted to research before I got on here. Still no play yet, although the line movement is moving that way. We got Austin Hubbard and Joe Selecki tied -110. First, I thought there was just disrespect coming on Hubbard, and apparently the public thought the same. His money is coming in on him. I mean, you feel bad for the guy, and also gotta, whether you root for him because you feel bad for him or just are trying to be objective, you got to think that he's just getting this like grappler's row over here, like between him and Arman Saryukian, and at least Arman at least has incredible wrestling. Hubbard, who does have a wrestling base, will give takedowns as more of a get-up guy. He gave up 8 takedowns, but he got up 8 times too. Although he was saved by the judge ref for stand-ups with the Davi Hamosh fight, which is why I'm taking Selecki here. I believe that Selecki will be more dedicated than Hamosh was in that fight to the takedowns. Hamosh only went for a late round, which is, you can accredit that to why he didn't finish, or other theories. My co-host Dan, which I don't disagree with, said, that seemed like a fight where maybe Hamosh felt like he could test his stand-up. I don't necessarily disagree with that theory either. And Selecki, whether he can finish or not, has got better control position than Marco Madsen. Water, please, water. I'm going to have some water, actually. I'm going to Marco Madsen you guys for a second. Water, please. And just Selecki just seems like a really smart guy, really impressed with his interviews, really impressed with his composure. I don't know what the heck Matt Wyman was on, or what's wrong with that guy. Hopefully nothing too mental. And I'm not saying that disparagingly. Actually, I mean that genuinely. Hope he's all right. That was a really weird altercation they had at the end, but I did like that Selecki was composed. I like Selecki's interviews heading into that, which I wanted to give a shout out to John Hyun Ko. Great interview with him. Great interviews in general. Yeah, Dan, you wonder why your podcasts and channels don't grow because you're too busy shouting other people out. But this guy deserves it, man. And he's got a decent follower count, but he deserves a lot more. So follow him. John, as it's spelled, Hyun, Hyon, Ko, Ko. My Korean brother over there. The dude just does excellent work, excellent interviews, and you really, really, really should check him out. Twitter and YouTube. Okay, enough plugging other people, Dan. Relax. But yeah, so I'm going to take Selecki there. Selecki, he knows it's going to be a hard fight. He knew what the Wyman fight is with this one. So unless he gasses out anyways, I don't trust Hubbard to capitalize even then after what I saw when I went back to watch the third round of the Marco Madsen fight. So if this line keeps moving, and although 110 is actually a justified shot on I still say Selecki. I think plus money, you got to justify the shot on Hubbard. But even 2+ money justifies it for Selecki. Personally, I'm going to wait to see if it goes to plus money before I pull the trigger, but good luck to you. My pick is Selecki by decision. Dwight Grant -370. I don't know why I want to say this guy's name like he's English, but Callenbone. +310. Callenbone, eh? I posted about this Sunday. Lord Honky Humongous, shout out to that guy. I was like, Callenbone is a black belt in Kung Fu. And I was like, well, he outranks Dwight Grant's red belt in Kung Fu. But Dwight Grant also, according to his profile, is an edged weapon specialist. Whatever that means. I don't know. They got to check Dwight Grant like one of the convicts from Con Air when he goes into the ring, man. I guess I'm going to pick Grant, but part of me wants to put a few bucks as I'll be rooting for Callenbone because Benny Abs, friend of the podcast, and he's got his own podcast as well. He does his own work. You should just follow him at Benjamin Abrigo. Benny Abs. I interact and probably retweet him a lot on Twitter as well. Good follow, good dude all around. I think he just got his brown belt, Benny. Benny just got his brown belt, Benny. He works the Muay Thai, and he's going to be in his corner. Callenbone looks like, I think he has a wrestling background as well. Can hit hard. So yeah, man, we'll see. Should be a fun S show. I'm gonna be rooting for Bourne. It's on the avoid list, obviously, for all those reasons. Also on the avoid list, listed as a heavyweight fight, but it's actually at light heavyweight. Jordan Wright minus 125. I don't know if the line movement rubber banded or he opened as the dog, but I feel like there was some movement on this fight. And it's actually at light heavyweight. Jordan Wright, I believe a middleweight, came in at his walking weight, I'm guessing, or walking/training weight, because he only tipped the scales at 200. I didn't see Villanueva's shape, but he did make 205.5. This guy was at middleweight, but perhaps, whether it was the last-minute shot to get in the UFC, and the fact that the dude walks around heavy and is now 36 years old after a long regional career. Villanueva is my man Vic Rodriguez says a big chungus kind of heavyweight. So it'd be interesting. I got to go see what he looked like on the scale. And I would hope you would do too if you're going to put a play on Ike Villanueva for the experience. But I'll go with what looks like an opportunistic Jordan Wright, who also may be a low-key member of Team Spectrum. But then again, that's only going off these Lord Honky Humongous clips. Who, I love you, Honky, Mr. Honky. But that's, I don't want to judge the poor guy off of those clips, even if they're not exactly out of context, because, something does seem weird about the kid, but he seems like a savant, if you will. So, there's some people that say he's legit talented, so I'll roll with Jordan Wright to find the opportunistic finish. The Beverly Hills Ninja. Not playing it, though, especially while he's chalk. Also on the avoid list, because I know nothing about these guys, Carlton Minas minus 120 versus Matthew Semmelsberger, which makes me kind of want to root for him for his name. I can imagine the kid's probably, how would you make fun of that name? I don't know. Yeah, I don't. Oh, yeah, I know how. I don't want it. It's all going to be really gross sexual humor. Yeah, we don't need any, yeah. Jesus, you're making fun of the guy's name. You should probably pick him now. Yeah, I'll save you guys the ejaculation humor. I will take Matthew Semmelsberger over Carlton Minas. Off absolutely no research on the avoid list. Do not listen to me on that fight. Oh, Jesus, damn. What kind of a breakdown show is this? Timur Valiev minus 450. Trevin Jones plus 330. Yeah, man. I mean, props on Trevin Jones for getting in last minute, but not impressive from what I see. Timur Valiev should roll. Maybe he actually gets a finish here, but I'll take old Timur Valiev. All right, 45 minutes, probably even longer than I wanted to go. All right, recap. Taking Bader over Nemkov, taking Bud over Mealy, taking Moldavsky over Nelson, taking Salter over Capel, taking Goita Perez over Hill, taking Piccolotti over Outlaw, though Outlaw is a live dog. Shouts to Will Smith. Won't say the rest of Bellator. UFC, what you're here for, probably. Taking Munoz over Edgar, taking St. Preux, Tennessee, over Minifield, taking Rodriguez over Prakniow, taking Jesus, sorry about that reading, taking Agapova over Dobson, taking D-Rod. No, I'm not taking D-Rod. I am picking Daniel Rodriguez. Jesus, Dan. Over Sato. Jesus Christ. Taking it away over Lemos. Not confident. Good luck if you're taking a shot on the dog that's dropping 2 weight classes. Taking Selecki over Hubbard. We'll see if I play him if he goes to dog money. I guess I'm taking Grant, but rooting for Cannonbone. Avoid. Taking Wright over Villanueva. Taking Siemensberger over Minus. Taking Jesus, Dan. Taking Valiev over Jones. No parlay that I can give you with a straight face. OSP plus 115, even though he's plus 105 now. I played him at 1 unit. Munoz inside the distance, minus 125. Under is still at minus 125 if you're looking to play some chalky prop. Under 3.5, minus 1 unit for that fight. Sprinkled a quarter unit on Munoz by sub by plus 500. Avoid minus Schemmelsberger, Kallenborn. Grant And Right Villanueva. Thank you guys, mixedmartialanalyst.com, to support this free podcast that I've been bringing to you for, I don't know, 4 years, but Mixed Martial Analyst, which hosts this, about to hit our 5-year anniversary, folks. Going to tweet that this week. If you want to support, give some love over mixedmartialanalyst.com, on at Amazon, click-throughs, PayPal. But the best thing you can do, rate, review Apple Podcasts, subscribe to the YouTube Daniel Tom MMA, and just share by word of mouth. There's this weird dude who breaks down fights. Give it a listen. Thank you, guys. Good luck on your picks and plays, and always protect your neck.